Lori Jakiela work has been published in the New York Times, Washington Post, Chicago Tribune, The Literary Underground, Volume 1, Brooklyn, Brevity and More, the winner of the first ever Pittsburgh Literary Death Match, as well as the Stanford University's Serene Prize for International Literature. Jakiela rhymes with tequila. Good, I pronounced it right. Is the author of 8 books, most recently in the essay collection All Skate, True Tales from the Middle Life, published by the wondrous Roadside Press in 2025. Welcome to the stage, Lori.
Thank you. And you're the only person that pronounced my name right before you realized I'm tequila. So thank you. Thanks to Michelle, thanks to Ian, thanks to all of you guys. It's really wonderful. It's magic. I have 2 poems to read. They're a little longer, so welcome in. First one is kind of about supermodels and influencers and, you know. Former 90s supermodel Cindy Crawford says people shouldn't worry about aging. I have 2 jobs, 2 kids. I get 5 hours of sleep a night. True beauty is the energy you give out, Cindy Crawford says, and that comes through being happy. Cindy Crawford says, on the inside, souls don't age, and we are all who we were as children. Cindy Crawford sleeps at least 9 hours every night. She starts every day with a soak in her jacuzzi. She highly recommends a daily soak in the jacuzzi. You have to make time for you, Cindy Crawford says. I do not have a jacuzzi. I have an old shallow bathtub with bad caulking. It leaks. My hot water heater is about to go. Sometimes it spits rusted yellow water, and I pretend not to notice. Our bathroom door doesn't lock. When I'm bathing, sometimes my daughter comes in. She looks at the water and says, ew. She says, did you pee in the tub or what? Fuck you, Cindy Crawford. Relax, Cindy Crawford says. Just breathe and age from the inside out. Cindy Crawford is in the news again because of a photo shoot she did for Marie Claire France. According to Marie Claire France, none of the photos have been retouched. No airbrushing, no vats of baby oil, just one former 90s supermodel and a camera. Cindy Crawford is, give or take, 49 years old, a mother. Marie Claire leaked one of the photos on my 51st birthday. Cindy in a bikini and an ebony fur coat, draped like a morning shawl. Cindy in a huge hat, the kind crazy ladies from the Red Hat Society wear. Except this one is black and glamorous and shows off Cindy Crawford's trademark mole. Cindy Crawford has always been the thinking person supermodel because she could afford to have that mole removed, but she didn't. Cindy Crawford is not shallow enough to worry over a cheek mole, which no doubt sprouts little dark hairs that Cindy Crawford must keep on top of, tweezers at the ready, defense against paparazzi close-ups. Bodies betray us all like that. Cindy Crawford, though, is careful and diligent, but in the photo, her legs are modeled bananas. Stretch marks map her belly. There's a cesarean scar that runs like a fault line above her bikini bottom. Her skin tone is freckled, pocked. Most of the comments in the comment section are from women who thank Cindy Crawford for saving their lives. They call the photo inspirational, beautiful, badass, a testimony to how real women can age beautifully. Then there's Wayne Johnson of Minnesota, who writes, puking. There's George Stevens of Chicago, who writes, that can't be her body.
Yes.
There's Scott Smith of Saskatchewan, who says, I'd still do her. Like that might somehow be possible, Scott Smith of Saskatchewan. The photos of Cindy Crawford supposedly leaked from Marie Claire France turn out to be fakes, a reverse Photoshop hoax designed to make Cindy Crawford look ordinary. Who would do such a thing, Cindy Crawford's husband says. And he releases family photos. Cindy on the beach with her kids, Cindy with her buttered skin, her toned stomach, hard and shimmering like sea glass. Fuck you, Cindy Crawford. Like most of America, I can't help but like Cindy Crawford. Cindy Crawford looks like my friend Lori Macho, vice versa. I love Lori Macho. Lori Macho has 2 kids and a job with long hours. Lori Macho has no jacuzzi. She gets sick a lot, stress, genetics. The last time Lori Macho got sick, the hospital called to do a follow-up. I'm sorry to ask you this, the man on the phone said, but at any point, did you die? He said, I really am sorry. He said, I have to ask, it's on the form. He said, it's a formality. He said, get it? Form, formality? He said, sorry. He said, probably not funny. He said, I'm sure you understand. Lori Macho, Cindy Crawford without the mole, he's 40, I think. Her death is a joke she tells me over wine. I'm pretty sure neither of us thinks it's funny. We have a lot of fun talking a sort of joke language, Hemingway explained to Lillian Ross when she wanted to know why he sounded like English was his second language. Hemingway told her, it isn't hard to die. This last poem, I've just been thinking about this a lot. You know how you go through life and you see your friend that you haven't seen in a long time, and you just assume you're going to see them again forever, right? And I feel like that we're here now, and let's all see each other again forever.
Yes.
And this is called All Publicity is Good Publicity Except an Obituary Notice. My friend Sinead is Irish and an accountant. I laughed when she first told me this, and she said, what's funny? And I said, well, accountants are so, and the Irish are so. And Sinead looked at me as if to say, go on. But later, I met many Irish accountants in Queens, New York, and 7 of them, Sinead included, became my roommates. There's an underground network for Irish accountants in New York. You may not know that. Every Irish accountant I've met is brilliant. They can stand drunk on a pub table and recite Yeats and Brendan Behan, who said, all publicity is good publicity, except an obituary notice. And everyone worked for major accounting firms like Deloitte and Touche and Ernst & Young, and all my Irish friends use the word brilliant a lot. They use the word brilliant for things Americans overlook as ordinary, as in, that spaghetti bolognese is brilliant, and those socks are brilliant, and that subway ride was brilliant, it didn't smell like piss, and didn't we all have brilliant fun? Once, when Sinead and I were out at our local Irish pub, Yearman's in Queens, where hundreds of bras dangled like tongues above the bar, Jimmy poured free drinks and gave us wooden nickels we could exchange for more free drinks and allowed us run up the jukebox, where we played the Pogues' Fairy Tale of New York, and Christy Moore's Fairy Tale of New York, and Van Morrison's Fairy Tale of New York, and anyone's Whiskey in a Jar, over and over and over and over. Which pissed some people off, so what? When Sinead and I finally drunk made our way home at 3 a.m. up Metropolitan Boulevard, some street kids were hanging on the corner of Metro and Lefferts. Sinead is the gentlest person I know, but she'd been arguing with Jimmy all night, the Irish troubles, the English problem, things I barely knew from books. Sinead comes from Galway. Her grandfather had been a driver for Michael Collins, founder of the IRA. Jimmy comes from the north, but he poured Sinead drinks while they fought, and Sinead double-kissed his cheeks when they left, and Jimmy tousled Sinead's dark curls and said, next round's on me, meaning not that night, but soon. We left in kindness. We believed in kindness. But maybe Sinead was still in the mood, because when we pulled up at the stoplight next to the street kids, Sinead, that soft-spoken sweetheart, rolled down her window and gave the kids the finger. One hard, fuck you. And one kid, in a thick Queen's accent, said, oh no, she didn't. And as if on cue, the other kids tough guys who carried golf clubs in the street because golf clubs aren't technically weapons because golf, turned and dropped their pants. It was a beautiful thing, almost choreographed. Queen's vest shooting the moon, but Sinead was mortified. "A finger does not equal an ass," she yelled from the open window. "That is not a fair exchange." "Irish accountant," I said. And she said, "What's funny?" Only someone with a huge heart would believe the numbers would add up, finger versus ass, or that when it comes to what's fair and good in this world versus what's shitty and wrong, fair and good should always win out. I wanted to tell Sinead that, or at least say we were lucky one of the kids didn't drive a golf club straight through my windshield. And we were blessed. They saw the beauty of mooning us, like a chorus line instead. That was the funniest Freudian slip ever. Oh, but all I said was, "We'll find them tomorrow," and it doesn't mean a thing. That was over 20 years ago. I could have been someone Kirsty McCall sang to the Pogues Jane McGowan, who sang back, and so could anyone. When Sinead left New York to go home to Galway, she needed 2 Xanaxes and a couple Baileys to board the plane. She called me when she landed. "We were on fire," she yelled into the phone. This was the 90s, when there was such a thing as long distance, when static meant you were far away and not that your cell phone plan sucked. "You were not on fire," I said. I'd been a flight attendant for years. I knew airplanes. "There were flames," Sinead said, "and the brave firemen hosed us down as we came in. They had these huge hoses. I thought we would die for sure, but the air hostesses gave us bags and minis to go." "You shouldn't drink with Xanax," I said. And Sinead said, "What's funny?" Sinead called me long distance for years. She called every day when my father was dying. She called every day when my mother was dying. Last year, I was in Brussels, a visiting writer, a gift, but I spent most of my time forgetting to be grateful, lonely, and walking the city instead. And so Sinead, who hates to fly, who swears that airplanes are on fire at all times, flew from Galway to Brussels to see me, because I was sad and spoiled and not an ocean away for once. I opened the door to my flat, and there she was, lovely as ever. "It is so brilliant to see you," she said, and I said it back, the word fitting just right. She gave me a bracelet etched with Gaelic words, Croyalan, and fastened it on my wrist and said, "Brilliant." We spent days together eating olives and drinking wine. We marveled at the maniacal swans in the Bruges canals, and I remembered the time a swan attacked us years ago in Central Park. All furious feathered beauty, wings flailing, a plane on fire, and Sinead made her fingers into guns like she'd seen in American westerns, but the swan kept coming, of course, and Sinead and I ran until we dropped. Later, she sent me pictures of peaceable swans in the canal across from her home. I've hung those pictures next to photographs of my children, whom Sinead has never met, though I tell stories about her that sound like fairy tales. My real name is Amelia Phelan. I was born by an Irish mother and adopted by another. I've been blessed with friends at home and across the ocean. Of the wolf, Sinead said, translating my birth name, which became my daughter's name. In Gaelic, Croyalan means beautiful heart. "I hope we see each other again in this life," Sinead said, when she left me alone in Brussels, and I stood on the sidewalk waving as her cab pulled away, trying not to feel too much. Irish accountants deal in numbers and time. Writers deal in memory and loss. There is another world, Yeats wrote, but it is in this one. "I hope we see each other again in this life," Sinead said. How could that ever not be possible? Thank you.